Hey neighbors, it's your buddy next door, Mason Stewart, and I'm so excited to be able to be here with you this week on this episode of Your Buddy Next Door. So as far as my week, I kind of want to get into things a little bit quickly because I think I've got a really cool idea here from a comment. We'll get to that here in just a second. But as far as like my week rundown, it was really good. I got back into working out during the week, which was fantastic for me. I wasn't perfect, mind you, but I was getting in and doing my exercises on a more regular basis. So that felt really good for me, was being able to get back into exercising. The other great thing is I had a free consultation with Joshua Alexander. If you're a voiceover artist looking to get into voiceover, any of the above, just interested in the business itself, give Joshua a follow. Joshua Alexander. He's fantastic, does amazing work. He does voiceover full time, and somebody I really look up to in the voiceover community. And so getting a chance to have a consultation with him was just beyond phenomenal. It really made my whole day. It really set me straight on a couple of things that I definitely got some bad advice on. I'm working to recalibrate, get back into the correct flow of things. Gave me the name of a great coach that I'm very excited to start working with as well, and hopefully going to be able to report to you guys on that as well. This week I also had the opportunity to jump into like a feedback session. It's a group of voiceover artists that get together once a week, and they all do a cold read of a script, and then they get feedback from each other. Sometimes, you get really positive feedback. Sometimes you get things that you need to work on, and it's all there to help each other out. And so it's fantastic. Excuse me, I have an itch on my eye, so I'm going to itch that really quick. And then this past Friday, my in-laws took myself, my wife, and all like my brother and sister-in-laws out to dinner for my birthday. My birthday's not for a week, but they're doing it a week early just to make sure that, things got taken care of. Anyways, we were able to go to Kebab Bros. If you happen to be in the Utah area, make sure you drive up to Midvale, just right there around Topgolf. Kebab Bros. Absolutely delicious Pakistani food. You have kebabs, you got wraps, you got this thing called a kebabza, where it's like a pizza, but they use naan bread instead, and they use the kebab meat, obviously. I got the street fries, which are delicious, right? So just imagine you got waffle fries, you got sweet potato fries, you got curly fries. Then on top of that, throw veggies. You got your green peppers, you got your pickles, you got your mushrooms. Then throw your beef. That's what I got. You can also get chicken tikka, or you can get chicken chopli. Then on top of that, throw in some delicious, absolutely mouth-watering curry sauce. It is to die for. Get up to Midvale, try Kebab Bros. They are fantastic. Love them so much. But to get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, I thought that we had a fantastic comment on last week's YouTube video. My sister Victoria Rader actually commented and said I should do a 20 questions type of thing so that everybody else can kind of get to know me. And I thought that was a wonderful idea. So thanks so much, sis. Love you. And I think that's a great idea. And that's what the big meat and potatoes of this episode today is going to be about. So let's jump right into it. I've got a big list of questions. For each question, I'll make sure I put some text up on the screen for you guys. But here we go. I don't want my face to get completely brightened out because it is, gosh, I should really work on changing my Gmail layout here. It's very bright. Anyways, here we go. Number 1 question. What is my favorite animal? Kind of a weird choice. I don't think I've ever met anybody else that has the same idea as favorite animals as me, but I think my absolute favorite animal is otters. I love otters. They're super cute. I know that they can be kind of feisty, but they also be really cuddly. They do partner up for life, which I love. It's super cute. They're just like little water dogs, and I am there for every single bit of it. Otters all the way. River otters, sea otters, any otters. Otters are cute. Otters are the best. I think there's I can't remember which zoo it is off the top of my head. I believe it's one of the zoos in California, but they have a live stream feed where you can just watch their otters all day. and I love it so much. I will admit that I have definitely put it on in the background from time to time when I'm having a hard day, just being able to relax, watch these cute little otters. It's the best. All right, question number 2 coming in. If I could travel anywhere in the world, where would I go? This is a really tough question for me. My immediate 2 places that I would want to go in my mind would be like the UK, Ireland. A lot of my family history is from there. Obviously, like big cultural impacts from that area. Just so much that came out of that, good and bad. And then the other place would be Japan. I love everything about Japanese culture. Like, I love anime. I know that's not technically Japanese culture, but I love anime. I love Japanese food. I got an anime cookbook that goes through like some of the recipes there. We were able to make some pork buns that I shared about this past week. Super delicious. But everything like Japanese is always been like extremely interesting to me. So I think that would be my other place. If I had to pick between the two, that's really tough. I think I would have to go. I think I have to go with Japan. I think that would be my number 1, is that I would want to live in Japan. All right. Moving right along, this kind of falls in the same like area of questions, but I thought it would also be a really good one. And if I could live anywhere in the world, where would I want to live? I've thought about this. I was born and raised in Utah. And in Utah, we definitely have 4 seasons. We've got spring, summer, winter, fall. We've got it all. And I don't know if I would like not having one of those, right? Like if I moved to Texas, right? A big chance of there not being like snow. I love snow. Snow is like my favorite type of weather. But at the same time, I think it would be good. If I had to pick anywhere else in the world other than Utah to live, honestly, it would be somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. Not necessarily Seattle, maybe like Seattle, Portland adjacent. They do get snow from time to time, but it's mostly rain. Rain definitely one of my all-time favorite weathers. Just kind of having that moody, gloomy type of feel up there in the Pacific Northwest, I would absolutely love. All right, next question. What was my favorite school subject? Now, my eye's itching again. I apologize. It's allergy season, and my eyes are acting up. And so we're just going to have to kind of roll with it. But as far as my favorite school subject goes, I think that it would be remiss of me if I didn't say band. I did marching band. I did concert band. I did jazz band. I played in the pit for like plays and musicals and different things like that. So band was a big part of my life. It's how I met my wife. It's how I got my first job coming off of my mission. Like, there's just so much in relation to me as far as band that it has to be my number 1. For a long time going to college, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a band teacher. So I have to say that it was my favorite school subject. Now, I can already see people in comments being like, band doesn't count as a real school subject. You got to pick something else. Okay. If band is not a choice and I have to choose from one of like the liberal arts or anything like that, it would definitely have to be history. I loved history. My history teacher, Mr. Harrison, made me get a huge love for history. He had classes where we went like way more in depth than normal history classes, and I took way more of those than I needed to. Even though I could have had free periods, I would have rather have taken those classes than I did, and they were fantastic. Do I have a small or a big family? Now, it depends on your definition of family. If you're talking about just currently my immediate family, no. My wife and I are alone with our cute little cat, Olive, as you guys have seen before in pictures. If you're talking about, like, my parents and my siblings, I have 3 siblings. So it's kind of like an average amount, maybe large for outside of Utah. But inside of Utah, it is still kind of small. For example, both of my parents had 8 siblings. So I have 8 aunts and uncles on both sides of my family. And I've got a myriad of cousins because of it. In fact, funny story, I even have some full-blooded cousins. Yes, you heard that right. My dad's brother married my mom's sister. Yeah, my dad's brother married my mom's sister. And so their kids, yes, we are cousins, but typically a cousin only shares like one parent relation, right? Because typically you don't marry into the same family, but in this case it happened. So I have some full-blooded cousins. Weird fact about Mason. All right, moving on. Next question. What genres of music do I like best? This is a tough question because typically when people are like, oh, what kind of music do you like? I always give the easy answer. I like everything except for country, which is true. I do like everything except for country. If I was to narrow it down and say, like, these are kind of like more of my speed, I love pop punk. I love like late 2000s, 2010, like emo music, Panic at the Disco, Rise Against the Machine, the Fallout Boy, anything like that, or any alternative music, like 21 Pilots, I think is probably my all-time favorite. But I do like a lot of other like types of music. Screamo, some people call it. There's a band called Dance Gavin Dance. It's called, I think the genre is called Swan Metal. It is very good. Go listen to some Dance Gavin Dance, and I guarantee you'll have a good time. It is some great music there. But I think I don't think I can narrow down genres, but like top is like alternative music, like / emo music, and then some like metal in there. I do like hip hop. I like rap. I like pop music. And again, just go down the list. We go down the list, and at the very, 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 very bottom, that's where country's going to stay. I just can't get behind it. There's a few country songs every now and then that I'm like, okay, I can dig it, but that is few and far between. Moving on, because this is taking a little bit longer than I thought it would. That's okay. How do I spend my free time? When I'm not doing voiceover work, when I'm not making content for you guys, and when I'm not doing my job, I am a big video game player. That's what I love to do. I love to do video games. I love to play video games. I love to analyze video games. I love watching professional video games. It's just kind of one of my big passions. Outside of video games, I love games. Like, I like entertainment. Board games like Catan or Seven Wonders, different things like that. Those are things that I really love to do. My wife also thinks it's weird, but I do love doing yard work, like mowing the lawn, trimming. Like, it's kind of a pain once you as you're getting started, but once you get into it, I think it's very relaxing. Just listen to music, cut some grass. It's a good time. Next question. Am I a morning or a night person? This is an interesting question. For a small amount of time, I worked graveyard shifts. And so I became a night person very, very quickly, and it kind of messed up my sleep schedule from then on out. Nowadays, because I'm getting older, I think, I have a tendency to not be able to stay up as late as I once used to. So it's kind of a bummer. I feel like I'm transitioning more into a morning person than a night person. But I think if I had to choose, I would rather be a night person and sleep in. What is my favorite food? My immediate answer is always potatoes every time I get this question. I love any type of potatoes. Baked potatoes, French fries, scalloped potatoes, mashed potatoes. They're all delicious. A lot of people also throw in like, oh, what's your favorite like actual meal, right? You can't just say potato, and like that's fair. And I think if that was the case, like the whole like if you could only pick one thing to eat, it would be between burgers and sushi. I love burgers. I love sushi. That is, I think, potatoes and then burgers, sushi, tied for second. Easy. What is my favorite movie or TV show? I love TV shows a lot more than movies. I think you're able to explore a lot more of the characters, a lot more of the information in TV shows rather than movies, and that's why I tend to prefer them. Now, as far as TV shows go, I'm also going to include anime into this, and my favorite TV show, because it was a TV show, animes are typically TV shows, is Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. It's really long, but I would recommend it to anybody. Like, the amount of deep dives, the amount of twists, the amount of heartbreak, the amount of happiness, the amount of tears, good and bad, happy and sad, that come through that show is immense, and I will recommend it till the day I die. Who is my celebrity crush? This is a question that you don't get asked a whole lot nowadays, but I think my celebrity crush is Aubrey Plaza. Most known for her role as April Ludgate in Parks and Rec. She's also done a lot of other really great things. I think she's just a good-looking lady. I mean, what can you say? Next question. Do you speak more than one language? Funny enough, kind of. So on my mission, when you serve a mission, sometimes you're asked to learn a different language. And I was asked when I got my mission called to learn Spanish. And I did learn Spanish. I should say I pretty much learned Spanglish, right? Not necessarily proper Spanish because of the areas that I was in. It was more like English-Spanish mixed. But unfortunately, since being home from my mission, I got off my mission in 2012, so it's been 10 years since I've gotten off my mission. It'll be 10 years in like a couple of weeks. Holy crap, that just made me feel old. But my Spanish has declined quite a bit. I'm trying to get back into it with Duolingo and try to brush back up on it and get back to the point where I feel comfortable, maybe even doing voiceovers in Spanish here eventually. That would be a great thing to do. So on that one, do I speak more than one language? Kind of. What is my favorite holiday? My favorite holiday is Christmas. I love Christmas. I love the snow. I love the symbolism of Christmas, being a Christian and all that happens around it, and just the amount of holiday spirit. I know there are a bunch of other holidays, and I couldn't tell you what they are besides Hanukkah, but that whole time frame in that little block of time in December is just the best, because I feel like a lot of times there's a lot of love in the air, regardless of other circumstances happening, and it's just magical. I love it. Where did I grow up? So I grew up. Okay, I lost my word that I was gonna say. I apologize. But I grew up in Provo, Utah. That's where I was born, and that's where I grew up until I was about 11, and then we moved to Lehi, Utah, and now I live in Eagle Mountain, Utah. It's very big. Don't try to find me. Wink, wink, nod, nod. What do I value most in a friend? This is a very interesting question, and I had to think about this for a second. But what I value most in a friend is honesty. And sometimes being honest, even when it's not what I want to hear as a friend to this person, right? I want them to be bluntly honest with me so that I can live my best life. And I think that's what I look for most in a friend, is a friend to call you out when you're wrong on something, right? Or to call you out when something isn't necessarily the way that you saw it. I think that is what I value most in a friend, is being able to trust them implicitly because they don't necessarily hold anything back. And I love that. All right, next. What is my biggest irrational fear? This has always been my biggest irrational fear, and I don't know why. And some might say, oh, it's not irrational, but statistically speaking, it's pretty irrational. It's not going to happen. But I'm always terrified that either myself or someone I love is going to be kidnapped. It has been ever since I was like in elementary school. I can't explain it. I always just have this irrational fear that I'm just going to be sitting down at a lunch table. I'm going to be sitting down at a restaurant, and people are going to come up out of nowhere in ski masks and just grab me and take me and throw me into a van, different stuff like that. Absolutely terrifying. Doesn't make any sense. Do I live by any piece of advice or motto? Not necessarily, but I think if I had to pick one, there's a song by a group called Modest Mouse. Also another fantastic like alternative type music band. Go give them a listen. They have a song called Float On. And in the song, the singer describes kind of like a terrible day, right? He backs into a cop car. He loses his job. There's like a whole myriad of different things in different verses that happen to this poor guy. And people ask him how he keeps on living, and he's like, well, you just got to float on, right? Like, no matter what happens, when good news or bad news lands, you float on. You go with the flow. And that's something that I've tried to take into my life, and even more so now that I'm trying to, get a business up and running. Sometimes there are things that happen that you just cannot control, and you have to find a way to just continue to move on, to continue to progress down that river, continuing your life. And that's what it's all about. All right, next question. Would I rather have my dishes or clothes be magically clean? This is easy. I don't even have to think about it. It's dishes. I hate dishes. Clothes are totally fine. I don't care. Throw them in the washer, takes an hour. Throw them in the dryer, takes an hour. Fold it, takes an hour. It's not a big deal. Dishes do not take that long, but I feel like there's so much more work involved because half the time the laundry machines are doing 90% of the work. Cleaning dishes is the worst. I love cooking, but I'm kind of a mess. And having to clean all the dishes and everything, I'm not about it. So give me a button where I can just boop and all the dishes are clean. I'd be set for life. And last question out of the 20, question number 20. We've already given the answer to this, but what's your favorite season and why? Now, I'm going to be a little bit more specific. Before I said winter is my favorite season. I have to admit, I love snow and I love rain. Not necessarily at the same time. Slush is not a good time. But I love that middle ground before winter starts, because winter doesn't start till the 21st of December or whatever. And so I love being able to have the dichotomy between that little in-between space between fall and winter, right? It's starting to get colder. Maybe every now and then you get some snowfall and it's beautiful, and every now and then you get rainfall. And I love both of those. Snow is so peaceful and rain is just calming. So if it could be rainy and snowy all the time with sprinkled sunny days, that's what I would be all about. And I know everybody's going to scream, move to Alaska, but I don't necessarily want to do that. That's pretty far away from everything that I hold dear. But that is it for the 20 questions. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this. I found it really exciting. If there are any other questions that you guys have that maybe I didn't get to in this 20 questions list, please make sure to comment either, on the blog, on the podcast, on the YouTube video, wherever you may be taking in this content. Please leave a comment. I would love to be able to interact with all of you more and answer any questions you guys may have. But thank you again, neighbors. Again, just make sure that you are finding time. Make sure that you're finding time in your days to help someone. Now, that somebody can be yourself. There are days where we need to take care of ourselves before we can do anything else for anyone else. There are days where we're doing great and we need to help somebody else. But I guarantee you, every single day of your life, you are going to be put in an opportunity to be able to help somebody, even if it's just a smile. So remember that, neighbors, and I will catch you on the next one. See you guys.